October 17th, 2024. A statistical anomaly flags a pattern that logic cannot explain. It's not in the scores, not in the betting lines, but in the moments just before the whistle blows. Across 3 continents and 4 different professional sports, a handful of elite, unrelated athletes begin performing the exact same pre-game ritual. A star quarterback in the NFL, a tennis prodigy at a Masters tournament in Shanghai, a Formula One driver in his cockpit at Silverstone, and a cricket captain in Mumbai. The sequence is identical: a sharp exhale, 3 taps on the left thigh, a slow roll of the neck to the right, and a final, almost imperceptible glance at a fixed point in the distance. The timing is synchronized to the microsecond. The sports media machine, ever hungry for a narrative, labels it the focus flow, a new mindfulness trend sweeping the elite circuit. Performance coaches on morning shows praise its psychological grounding. Social media influencers replicate it, turning a potential conspiracy into a viral challenge. But inside the quiet, data-driven world of opposition research and high-stakes analytics, the explanation doesn't hold. Trends are mimicked, they are not replicated with the precision of a synchronized military drill. The adoption was instantaneous, not gradual. There was no patient zero, no single athlete who originated the sequence and was then copied. They all started on the same day. Publicly dismissed as a new trend, behind closed doors, a different kind of conversation is happening. In the encrypted channels where rogue data scientists and intelligence contractors trade information, a document resurfaces. It's a ghost from the Cold War, a recently declassified paper from a CIA behavioral engineering program, file number MK Ultra Subproject 68. Its title, Project Pavlov's Athletes. The document, dated 1978, is a chilling blueprint. It's not about steroids or blood doping, it's about psychological warfare. It details theoretical techniques for implanting conditioned response triggers in field operatives, using seemingly innocuous physical gestures or verbal cues to induce a state of heightened focus, aggression, or even compliance. The goal was to create an agent who could be activated in a high-stress environment without a handler, a radio, or any external device. The trigger was the agent themselves. The paper reads less like sports science and more like a manual for building a human weapon. It outlines protocols using sensory deprivation, hypnotic repetition, and audio-visual entrainment to bypass the conscious mind and embed a specific command sequence deep within the subject's motor cortex. The theory was that under the immense pressure of a mission or a championship game, the conscious brain would be too overloaded to interfere. The body would simply execute its programming. The project was officially terminated in the 80s, dismissed as esoteric and unreliable. Yet the methodology it describes is a perfect match for the anomaly we are witnessing today. The synchronized rituals aren't just similar. They are a verbatim execution of a behavioral sequence outlined in a 40-year-old PSIOPS document. We are told athletes develop rituals organically over years of practice. They are personal, born from superstition and muscle memory. A lucky pair of socks, a specific meal, a prayer whispered in the tunnel. These are the stories we accept. But the evidence before us suggests something else entirely. The precision of the focus flow defies organic development. The speed of its adoption across unconnected individuals defies coincidence. The parallels to a declassified mind control program defy dismissal. The official narrative is a comforting lie, a thin veil draped over a deeply unsettling truth. The whispers in the data intelligence community are getting louder. They say someone found the old playbook, dusted it off, and upgraded it with modern technology. They suggest that what we are seeing is not a trend, but a field test. A proof of concept on a global stage, hidden in plain sight. The implications are staggering. If you can program an athlete to enter a state of peak performance on command, you can control the outcome of a game. You can manipulate billion-dollar industries. But the technology of control is never content with just one application. If a simple sequence of taps and glances can unlock a player's potential, what other commands have been embedded? Can a different sequence trigger a mistake, a moment of hesitation, a fatal flaw at the most critical juncture? We are no longer just watching a game of physical skill and mental fortitude. We are potentially watching a live demonstration of covert psychological conditioning. The question is no longer about superstition versus science. What happens when superstition is less about habit and more about programming? Following the unusual synchronization of athlete rituals, the trail from that declassified Cold War blueprint leads us not to a government facility, but to the sterile, glass-walled offices of a boutique sports psychology firm called Kinetic Mind Dynamics. Based out of a nondescript corporate park in Northern Virginia, KMD appeared on the scene less than 2 years ago with a roster of clients that reads like a who's who of global sports. Their public-facing material is standard fare, optimizing performance, mental resilience, unlocking potential. But a deep dive into the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office database reveals their true product. Patent 11,845,021b2, a system and method for biosynchronous neuropodulatory audiovisual feedback. It's a weaponized self-help program. The patent describes a closed-loop system. It's not just an app, it's an ecosystem. Wearable biometric sensors, disguised as sweatbands, insoles, or even dermal patches, track an athlete's physiological state in real time. Heart rate variability, galvanic skin response, even minute fluctuations in cortisol levels via perspiration analysis. This data stream is fed into a proprietary AI that then delivers precisely timed subliminal cues back to the athlete through customized audio devices or haptic feedback motors embedded in their gear. The patent language is cold, clinical. It talks of entraining desired neurological pathways and reinforcing conditioned responses below the threshold of conscious perception. It is, in essence, the hardware for Project Pavlov's athletes. The system doesn't just suggest, it actively molds and reinforces behavior, turning a ritual from a conscious choice into an automated, bio-triggered reflex. But a groundbreaking patent like this requires capital, serious capital. And Kinetic Mind Dynamics, on paper, had none. This is where the story pivots from sports science to shadow finance. We started pulling their investment disclosures, and what we found was a masterclass in corporate obfuscation. The primary funding didn't come from a venture capital firm. It came from a holding company called the Archon Group, which was, in turn, funded by an investment vehicle based in the Cayman Islands, which was, in turn, a subsidiary of a private equity firm with a single, opaque client, Viridian Dynamics. Viridian is a name that doesn't appear in sports journals. It appears in intelligence briefings and defense budget reports. They are a major contractor for the Department of Defense and the intelligence community, specializing in predictive analytics, behavioral modeling, and psychological operations. Their software is used to predict insurgent activity in conflict zones and to model the behavior of political dissidents. Financial disclosures reveal a labyrinthine trail of shell companies, a deliberate and complex structure designed to insulate Viridian from Kinetic Mind Dynamics. Why would a PsyOps contractor pour black-budget millions into a sports psychology startup? The answer came from a source deep inside the athletic world, a whistleblower we'll call Icarus. Icarus is a former trainer for a national Olympic team who was fired after raising concerns about KMD's methods. Our meeting was arranged with layers of paranoia, an encrypted chat leading to a dead drop leading to a sterile hotel room. Icarus described KMD's cognitive conditioning modules. They weren't just apps, they were indoctrination tools. Athletes were told the subliminal tones in their training playlists were binaural beats for focus. The gentle vibrations from their smart uniforms were proprioceptive feedback. They were told the rituals were a way to anchor their peak state. Icarus provided a training manual. It detailed how to use the system to link the physical ritual, the 3 taps, the neck roll, to the flood of euphoric, focus-inducing neurochemicals triggered by the subliminal cues. The ritual becomes the key, the system is the lock. Over time, the external stimulus is no longer needed. The body's own biochemistry becomes conditioned. The ritual alone is enough to trigger the state. It's a Pavlovian feedback loop refined for the 21st century. The athletes believe they have discovered a powerful new mental tool. They are, in fact, being programmed. They are the willing subjects of an experiment they don't even know they're in. The game is no longer the only objective. These athletes are global influencers, national heroes, and walking billboards for multi-billion-dollar corporations. They have access to politicians, tech moguls, and sensitive information. If their performance can be remotely modulated, what else can? Can an athlete be triggered to endorse a political candidate? To subtly sabotage a rival sponsor's product launch during a press conference? To experience a sudden, inexplicable dip in performance that shifts a nation's morale or a key stock index? The ritual isn't just about winning a game. It's about establishing a network of influence that can be activated on command. If these rituals are indeed triggers, the person holding the remote is not a coach. They are an intelligence operative. And the ultimate objective is not a championship. It is control.